Hi, my name's James.
My name's Corwyn.
My name's Caleb.
We
Jumping the gun. Hello.
yes, we introduce you.
We have a special guest today.
I was gonna restart.
Okay.
You want to know what? Fuck it. We do it live.
Yes.
So you heard him talking. We got a bonkers of a movie. Actually, no, that is.
It's a doozy.
Yeah. Also, it's doozy, but this also
always.
was not a doozy of a film. I think this is the most like a film that we've done.
It
except
really. Yeah.
I would say, what was it called? All Cheerleaders Die, I think, is the most top tier besides this one. This one's the most well acted and
Directed artistic
all
and
of these things. We're both
all
moving
that,
our
yeah.
hands, going,
moving our hands,
moving
like,
it in a
rowing
circular
boat.
motion.
It's
We're rowing this
fine.
boat down the stream merrily, merrily, merrily. Hey, guess what? That's in the public domain. You can't sue us for singing that.
That wasn't really singing
Government.
it, though. But yes, this is the most like film-esque movie we've watched so far.
So far.
And it has won an award. But
And next movie, you know we're doing Chasing Amy. And after that, meatspin.com.
I mean, eventually we'll move on to the blockbusters. Besides meatspin.com.
Caleb, laugh into the
but-
microphone, please.
Okay.
We'll move on to the blockbusters besides meatspin.com. We'll move on to like Moonlight and like Brokeback Mountain.
Also, Chasing Amy was not a blockbuster. It was still an indie of a darling.
I mean, we're talking about the film.
What is
those.
the most blockbuster gay movie?
Venom.
Did we
You're not
introduce
wrong.
Caleb?
Okay, we have a special guest. It is James's former coworker, my current and soon-to-be former coworker, Caleb. If you want to tell anyone your social medias or anything like that, feel free. He's shaking his head no, so you can't find him.
Which is a good thing. It's a good thing. I'm mostly active on Tumblr, and you don't want to find that.
Well, it's fine. What would you be posting now on Tumblr that would be inappropriate?
I have my ways.
Oh.
Like, it's still out there.
Hey, Tumblr, if you're listening, we know someone who is clearly disregarding your new terms and conditions.
It's still out there.
I have a blog spot with all of my nudies on it. I really don't.
I was like, if we ever have like some major fans that are obsessed with you, they'll be finding those. They'll be looking.
Hey, guys, if you're listening in the future or when this comes out and you'd like a nudie of me, if the price is right, baby.
I mean, just go back to our first episode and listen. James talks about being a camera boy. If the price is
Stop
right.
saying camera boy. No one calls it, I'm a camera boy. I'm a camera girl.
boy.
It's a cam boy or a cam girl. Caleb, this is why you got to listen to an episode beforehand. You can get in on our banter, our dynamics, our banter, as I said.
We've had more banter in this one than we have in a minute.
Also, our dynamic.
And the banter, though?
The
Yes.
banter, though.
Okay, but what about the dynamic?
You can't even forget banter. We might have forgotten to say that. Up front, did we say this was a banter movie or a dynamic movie?
I mean, this movie is more dynamic, I think.
Yeah, this doesn't have a lot of cheeky banter, as they say over the pond.
They have a couple of moments. But speaking of this cheeky movie, we watched Lilting from 2014. It is a movie that was released in the UK, and it's got some prominent actors in it. It's probably one of the most, like I said before, films that we've seen. It's definitely got more famous people than any other one that we've seen so far, except for...
I think you need to reconsider your definition of famous. I knew none of these people, except Alan Alda played Alan.
I mean, Ben Whishaw is Q in James Bond, so like he's
Who was that?
That was Richard, the lead.
Oh yeah, I didn't know.
But we also didn't point out that in the last movie, Make the Yuletide Gay, the mom of the boyfriend, the like rich one, the mom was Beverly Crusher from Star Trek.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Yeah.
Again, please.
Names.
Please check your definition of famous.
Just because you don't know them doesn't make them not famous. Considering that I don't know music, so there's a lot of artists that you can mention that you're like, they're well known. And I'm like, I don't know who that is.
The most famous musician I can think of right now, G.G. Allen. Do you know who G.G. Allen is?
Who is that?
He's not famous. He's infamous.
Well, people that have been on big screen blockbuster movies, this one does have those people, including the two leads, Richard, who is played by Ben Whishaw, who is in Cloud Atlas, and he's in the James Bond movies. He is in a lot of stuff, especially on Netflix. Go find him. He's a very wonderful actor to watch.
Yeah, and you can just search actors' names on Netflix. Netflix, you got a great system going. I think Netflix is going to be huge, you guys.
It's going to be. Not there yet. Not there yet, Netflix. Going to be, according to James.
Corwyn.
I found that very amusing. I'm using so many vocal stops.
I brought up to Corwyn that he said, this is an informal conversation. You'll hear me mainly go, a lot. And I said, hey, I edit those out. However, now since we're having this conversation, I don't think I can edit those out because people will say, Corwyn never does that until 45 minutes into the podcast.
Yes, I do. I do use a lot of vocal pauses, which is something that you should be aware of when you're actually recording things. However, I still do it.
Also, just so everyone knows, our episodes are completely written. It's all scripted. So when he does go and it's on the page. He's doing what he's told to do. He's an actor. He's a professional. If you need him for any stage performance, screen performance, hey, we have a voiceover booth now. It's technically a walk-in closet, but hey, it sounds good. Let us know. Call Corwyn. His information is at Corwinning. It's his name with ING at the end on Twitter. DM him and let him know you heard about it from this so I get a cut. I'm practically his agent. How do you become an agent?
I don't know, but you should look it up and be my agent.
Yeah. Guys, I'm Corwyn's representation now. We're maybe 15 minutes into talking and have just not even said the title of this, I don't think.
We did. I did. I said
okay.
It's Lilting from 2014, British film. And we're only like 8 minutes in.
Also, when you say the title of this movie, it sounds like you're saying Lilting, and it's Lilting.
I know. It's so like, because the first time I said it, you were like, y'all said something else. And I was like, that's not what I said. So I've been trying to enunciate it more, but then that's making it worse. So
like a lilting flower.
Yes, yeah. I didn't know the title until it came up on the screen. I'm just like, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah, I just can't say some words, and unfortunately, that's one of the words that I cannot say.
I forgive you.
It is due to the accent that I sometimes display.
Yeah, because this dude's from Memphis, Tennessee.
I am from Memphis, Tennessee.
Did I get that right?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, I'm from north of Memphis, Tennessee, but it's from a town that no one will know.
You don't know. We
Memphis,
could have
Tennessee.
some Tennessee heads out there.
I mean, we do have people that know the town.
Have you ever
it's
been
from
to-
Munford, but they already know where I'm from.
Have you ever been to Bob Mackey's Music and World of Sound? It's a really haunted country place. I think that could be in Tennessee.
No.
It could be in Kentucky. I'm
I've
not sure.
heard of this, so...
I want to go there and have a demon scratch me, like on Ghost Adventures.
And then it'll be this movie's ghost.
Yeah. Hey, guys. Wait. In 9 months from now, we will do 4 episodes in October called This Movie's Ghost.
They'll still probably be LGBT themed, but it'll be ghosts.
It'll be like the campy gay version of Paranormal Activity, which there is one of them.
I actually don't know if I've been able to find one like that.
There has to be. It's not like tokusatsu films because, hey, there are no LGBTQ tokusatsu films. We've looked. We've asked the internet. They like to say, oh, there's this feminine guy in this tokusatsu movie. Well, that's not what we're looking for, guys.
Correct.
That's why we got to go to J-horror.
If
that's
you know
Japanese horror
a
movie.
paranormal
Gay
paranormal
movie, we'll do it
activity,
in
LGBT movie, send it to us.
We'll do it in 9 months from now.
9 months.
Please. Also, we need a total of 4 of them because there will be 4 episodes in that month. Unless the month starts with a Monday, there could be 5. I loved when there's 5 of a Thursday. Is that when we got paid at the place?
Yeah, Thursday. When there were 5 Thursdays, we got an extra check.
When's your last day there?
It'll probably be around mid-February. I agreed to stay on to help train a replacement.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk so much shit about that place once you're gone. Caleb's like, oh, fuck, guys. Caleb, get in on this witty banter.
But let's get back to the movie. The movie that I cannot pronounce because there are some words that I cannot pronounce correctly. Yes, that one. You're welcome. Caleb, since you are a guest, we are going to have you give us a quick synopsis of the movie. So give us those plots.
It's real gay.
I mean,
it's real gay.
Just tell us what happens in the movie.
Okay, so basic summary of the movie. It is about the mother and boyfriend of this dude who has died. It was not a suicide like I thought it was. He just got hit by a bus accidentally. I know, I'm as shocked as you are. But just kind of dealing with their grief and learning to communicate grief.
Yes, very apt. And what are things that happen in the movie? Give us a quick rundown. Give us all the spoilers. There's spoilers coming up. So just tell us, the mic was being adjusted, so I was trying to vamp a little, just so you know. Okay. Give us major things that happened.
Oh God, I am already blanking. That's so cool. It's cool when you have to talk and then you can't think while you're talking at the same time.
Hey, but when you do talk, remember to project a little baby.
Projection.
I can try that.
There
Is
you
that
go.
Good?
Yeah.
Projecting.
Yeah.
Projecting. I can use microphones.
Also, I always thought Caleb was a theater person.
I'm not. I'm a writer
what?
person. I'm a stay in a dark room and just brood and write my feelings kind
Should
of
we
person.
invite him into the writing team for the many movies we have cooking?
Yes, we should. I was already going to invite him without even consulting.
That's very polite
which is
of you.
Not very
so
good.
polite.
This is what a writer's room is, guys. It's so diverse in this writer's room. There's one cis white male and then 2 gay white men.
We'll get more diversity when we're writing our sword and sorcery movie.
It's hella diverse.
We'll also need more diversity in the writing team just because, you gotta be diverse everywhere.
I mean, no, you can have a single person writing a movie.
I mean, that's true, but we want to make it inclusive and diverse.
The actors and producers will be.
Yes. Produce our movie. Everyone, send us money. Thank you.
And hey, if you need representation to get onto this movie,
James is now an agent. Okay, continue with your rundown of this movie, Caleb.
Okay, so it's the whole movie isn't linear, so providing one linear plot line isn't possible. So I'll just kind of go start to finish of the movie, which just jumps around in time, which is annoying but interesting.
I mean, but a question there before you do that. Is it not linear? Because it seems like a lot of the times where it's showing the past are flashbacks. They're sort of experiencing a memory of him in the moment.
That's true. It is. That's really fair. It's more flashback and memory than just being shot non-linearly. Though, yeah, I'll leave it. Basically, it starts off with this mom. She's been put in a care home, and she's trying to banter with her kid, trying to be happy about it. He's visiting her, she's pleased, but she's also pretty pissed off that she's there. She doesn't really understand why. And you find out pretty quickly within the first scene that he's not there. He is either a hallucination or a memory. It's a little unclear at first, just because she is in a care home.
Yeah, she's on them hallucinogens, baby.
And then enters Richard, who is her son's boyfriend of 4 years. And he is dealing with his own grief. He's also trying to reach out to her, help her connect with her, which is difficult because she only speaks Chinese. She speaks 6 Chinese languages and just not English, except God, what's the English language?
Fuck you very much.
Fuck you very much. It's like her English phrase that she's pleased with. She also has a romantic interest that she is starting to see, this dude named Alan, who's also in the old folks' home. And just keep going with that. Okay. Just keep saying the plot.
I don't know why he's making you do this, because we've never done this before.
I mean, we have. It's just more. We did it with Lauren and we did it with Nicole, making them give a brief synopsis of the movie. Not just an overarching, like, oh, it's 2 people dealing with their grief, but like, this is what happened. We started doing it with Gay Bed and Breakfast of Terror because it was so crazy. So that's why we're doing that. Yes.
Okay. So it's torture or hazing.
Yeah.
Yes. I like torture.
What I would have asked you to do is just say, give a real brief rundown.
Yeah.
I am not with him on making people do this. This was never a discussion we had.
I just did it on the spot. This is scripted, y'all.
Oh, yeah. Even this right here. That little chuckle. It's on the page. It says Corwyn gleefully, in parentheses, laughs.
It gives me my specific laugh type, too, because I have so many. Okay, but Caleb was doing
diverse, guys.
Wonderful job in giving us a brief rundown of the movie. Yes, the Mother June has a love interest in the old folks' home. That doesn't really work out that well. The boyfriend who is trying to comfort her is doing so because he sort of feels guilt that she is alone, and he is part of the problem with that, just because her son hadn't come out to her yet. And he's trying to maneuver through this with a translator and without telling the mom yet that he is gay and that her son was gay. He doesn't know how she's going to react to that. And because the son wasn't able to do that, he is feeling awkward about, telling her that they were boyfriends. So he just says that they're best friends. So
he cries a lot.
Can I ask, this is a super serious question. If you were in that situation, is it right for you to tell the parents that their son was gay?
That is a very hard question. And I feel like it would depend on the person, and it would depend on like the situation. Like in this, the boyfriend, Kai, was going to come out to his mom, and he was actually on his way to get her to bring her to dinner so that he could do that. So I think that's why towards the end of the movie, actually the very end of the movie, Richard tells the mom that, her son was gay and that they were in love and they were boyfriends for 4 years. So I think it's one of those situations where that's something that's very difficult to maneuver. And I think that's something that this movie does well in showing that, like, that grief and that maneuvering through the coming out process post-death.
Caleb, what are your thoughts?
I think it was important because at that point, the mom knew, like, she definitely had a sense that they were more than just like friends and roommates, wink, wink. She knew how important Richard was, and that was part of her grief. It was also part of her guilt. And so to resolve that and to absolve Richard of his own grief and guilt, like, that had to be a conversation that they had. In general, though, like Corwyn said, it's definitely got to be...
It's situational.
It's situational. It's got to be very carefully weighed, because you could be adding to their grief.
I would like to see this if I knew the language, because sometimes when it was being when the translator was there, they weren't subtitling things. So I would like to know what they are really saying, because I feel like there were times where the mom said, wait, don't say that.
Right, exactly.
Just like what Richard was saying, and then Alan at times was saying, hey, don't actually translate that. This is what you should translate. It just felt like the mom was sometimes saying, maybe she said, hey, I know what you were to my son. Wait, don't say that.
I think imperfect translation, though, is like an important theme of the film.
Yeah.
Where communication isn't easy and it's not clear, it's messy.
Yeah, and part of that ties back to grief itself is messy and it's not clear all the time. So I think that was another dynamic to that grief, adding the language issue there. And I think it's important that, movies have the diversity of language as well, because the world doesn't just speak English as well. So I would actually love to watch this movie with someone that does speak the language they're speaking, which I think is Mandarin, or learn that language myself.
All your free time.
Duolingo. I mean, I'm leaving my job soon. I'll have some free time.
What are you going to be doing?
I'm going back to my other job, and then I'm going to start performing more and taking voiceover classes and things like that.
Are you going to start stand-up? Why not?
I'm not going to start stand-up. I am funny on stage. However, I am not interested in going into comedy.
What about some improv?
No thanks.
Sketch comedy?
No thanks.
Maybe some striptease, burlesque, baby.
No thank you.
Hey, guys, if you need someone to do a burlesque show, hit me up. I
know
have
our
a client.
friend, Ryan. Ryan does burlesque stuff.
Okay, I'm not his agent, though,
Right?
so
yes.
I'm not getting 10% of that. You want to know? Actually, I'm a better agent. I only take 9%. No, I take 6.66%. Baby.
I got to get that written down so that James can be my agent.
And if you're uncomfortable with the 6.66, I will take 15%. It's one of the two. It either needs to help with my weird sense of humor, or I'm getting paid in full, baby. +5.
Oh, except if you need recording. If you need to record things, James is real cheap.
Yes, that I like to say inexpensive. Because then when people...
Cost effective.
Yes, my dad said, hey, don't say cheap. That will make it seem like the quality is bad. Say things like cost effective or inexpensive.
He is cost effective and inexpensive, considering you're actually listening to this and you see sort of the sound quality. It's a little better for like specific individual voiceover because he does have more soundproofing and things like that.
And a better microphone for voiceover.
Yeah, so... cost effective.
Yeah.
I just like saying James is cheap sometimes. It just lends to the humor.
I also am that. I live like a vagrant. That's how I was able to quit my job and do this. I'm not getting paid for this because guess what? If you're listening to this, you're not fucking telling anyone to listen to it as well. Yes, thank you 12 subscribers that we have, but hey, that's all we're getting. Please tell a fucking friend about this podcast.
I'm just laughing. Oh, James. Oh, that's great. Okay, Caleb, you mentioned that you had a lot of notes for this movie, so let's get into those. I only have a couple because I have seen this movie multiple times, and it's one of those movies that sort of makes me tear up and have emotions. Not so much when I'm watching it with two other people, but if I am home alone, watching this on my own, in the dark, eating junk food, I do cry.
Especially when we were saying, you better not fucking cry, you nerd.
They're
Caleb,
like, you better not cry,
that?
you nerd. And I'm like, I will never cry.
We were like, you little sensi over there. I don't know if that's a term people use for sensitive people.
I've never heard that before.
Sensi. It also sounds like you're on your menzies, so it's even worse. Caleb's shaking his head right now. Remember, this is an audio medium.
Okay, Caleb, get into your notes.
Okay, they're boring and very poorly written.
Remember to like do this number.
Hey, baby, put that.
I can't read my own handwriting anyway. So if I'm doing this number, which you didn't describe, but he's pantomiming, holding the notes in front of me because they're trying to teach me to speak into the microphone instead of moving my head, which is mostly successful.
Yeah. He's doing really well, y'all.
Yes.
I don't know why I elongated that.
Also,
Doing
you
really
went
well,
into your
y'all.
southern roots and said y'all.
I mean, I use the word y'all a lot because it is sort of a gender neutral
Oh, yeah.
thing. You would know more because you take English. I don't know what it's called. The word y'all in reference to
Pronoun?
On AIM, I would always say howdy, y'all. And I would say howdy. People probably thought I was southern. I don't know. But I liked using howdy. It's a good term. Guys, use howdy. Hashtag howdy.
Caleb shook his head again. Okay, y'all. Yes, notes. I know you can't read your handwriting, but you must have things that you remember.
I do. I think that the movie was really interestingly shot, especially where we said that it plays with memory. It plays with kind of flashbacks that are also brought into the present. So they did a lot of camera spins where shit would be happening and then the camera moves and then people who are dead or just there in memory are suddenly there interacting with people. There's a dance scene at the end. And I say dance scene, and please do not envision a dance number. It was not that. It was just
It was a slow dance scene.
It was a slow dance scene. It's very nice. But they were characters were switching partners, and sometimes they were there in memory. Sometimes they were there just physically in real life of the movie. But it was really wonderfully shot. There were a couple moments where they would purposely leave a space. The first time that the mom, Richard and the translator sit down, there's the whole framing of the shot is around the red chair in the center, which is just empty. And it's sad. That's why they're there. And then Alan just wanders in and plops himself down, just very rudely inserting himself into the middle of that. And the point of this scene is that the translator's there to help the mom and Alan get to know each other. And it's supposed to be this cute old people romance, which is old people have sex. It's fine. But it is very jarring where that they have to have this grief process, and they're just meeting for the first time. All of the players are there, and there's this empty chair, and it's very sad and evokes the memory of Kai. And then just Alan plops his way down very insensitively, very uncaringly, and it was really funny to me.
He does it, and he doesn't do it intentionally in that way. He just doesn't understand that he's not, that he's inserting himself into that narrative. But he's invited into that narrative in that sense that they were there for him to be translated. But he didn't know that this grief thing was happening.
I think that part of translation is that both parties want to understand each other. And he did not want to understand her. He just wanted he just wanted to bang her. And the more that they actually talked to the translator and the more they got to know each other, the more they're oh, this is awkward.
Yeah, and I mean, you made a good point with him not wanting to understand her, because there is that moment during their little dinner together that he dismisses the translator.
But she also does that, but for a different reason of just saying, in an old-fashioned way, I'm a lady, I don't want you to watch me eat.
Yeah, but he's dismissing her because he's just we don't need this. But not a we don't need this as in we understand each other non-verbally, which it sort of leans towards in the beginning that they understand each other non-verbally. But the more the translator, the more we see of that relationship, we're seeing that they don't actually understand each other non-verbally, which is unfortunate because non-verbal communication is very high in normal society.
Well, also with the mother is very obvious and very blatant with her nonverbal signals. With her frowning at people, she's got a great frown. Her forehead crunches up anytime she's upset or worried or frustrated or any negative emotion. It just reads really easily on her face. And what's funny is just the number of times she shot those verbal signals to Alan, and Alan just ignored them and kept touching her. And it was cute at first, that they're like this couple that can't communicate, whatever. But then it just got weird. And even to the point where she brings it up that she's like, he just touches me a lot and I'm not cool with that.
Not even in the beginning. When we first see them, it's like, oh, they're kind of cute. But that first dance scene that they had when he turned on Elvis, I think it was, and she's telling, or even before that when they were outside, she's talking about her son dying and how she's processing this, and he's just like smelling her neck and kissing her, which then it turns into her thinking of her son doing that. And there were many times in this entire thing where I felt very uncomfortable with the mother-son relationship. At first, I wrote that this was mom fantasy because it's exactly what a mom would want to do with her son, is like hang out and talk and gossip and just have a perfect thing. Then I wrote down halfway into the movie, oh, this is just mom reality of having to fight for her son's attention and affection, which I think any mother-son relationship is weird and creepy. That might say more about me than these movies, especially like the Goldbergs. If you watch the Goldbergs, or no, The Middle. Have you guys seen that show? It was on ABC. That in the early seasons, the mom had some really weird. She was pretty much trying to like date her son. And moms are gross, guys. I'm sorry if you're a mom, but if you're a new mom, be better than what your mom was.
You do have to give major props to June, who's the mother in the movie, because she calls herself on it in the end.
Yeah.
Where she's just like, you know, I feel guilt because I was super jealous of him and like fought for his attention, and that's shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also want to clarify, the son wasn't kissing her neck. He did smell her because the son has this like weird smell thing that he does, and you know it because the boyfriend at one point, Richard, was just like, oh, I wish you were here so that you could smell my armpit. I love when you do that.
But he did it like while sobbing with grief, and it's just kind of like that's a weird thing to say.
Well, it's like a little. I think it's one of those like weird things that some people. It's one of those weird mannerisms that I think Kai did that like Richard's like, this isn't something that someone else is going to do at all. So it's one of those things where like he thinks about it and he's like, this is something Kai does because Kai is obsessed with how things smell. And we see little pictures of that with him smelling the hydrangeas and like he did smell his mom. He's like, you know,
creepy as hell, guys.
I mean, it's one of those things like it's comfort, I think. I don't think it was a sexual thing. I think it's just he has a focus on smell. I don't know.
Guys, don't smell your mom. That's weird. Any way you fold it. No, thank you.
I mean, and you see like something like that similar with a lot of movies, a lot of straight movies where you have like a boyfriend girlfriend kind of thing where like, you know, you've got each other's clothes or whatever and it smells like them.
There is a movie called I forgot what it's called, but it's about a guy who's very much into smell, and Nicole was so excited to watch it because she read the description on the back, and instantly it's about this kid who right away as he was born he had an extra sense of smell. And what was this movie called? Like Perfume, maybe?
If it's Perfume, Ben Whishaw is in that movie.
Is he in this movie?
Ben Whishaw was Richard.
Oh, it might be. Wait, for real?
Yeah.
You guys vamp. Nicole owns the movie. I'm going to find it and see if it is. I will be right back.
So,
or do you have it up?
I'm pulling up Perfume. It's called Perfume, the Story of a Murderer.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh my God.
And Ben Whishaw is the lead in it.
Okay, yes. This is fucking insane,
it's
guys.
so funny that you brought that movie up and everything. Because I was going to mention it. The smell thing is, it's so funny that Ben Whishaw was in a movie called Perfume.
Nicole and I got maybe 12 minutes into it, and between me just razzing the movie and roasting it, and there being a very graphic female murder scene. I mean, it wasn't graphic. It was just it was uncomfortable as fuck. Mm-hmm. So the main character, who is Richard, I just found out, is very into smell. And when he was a kid, he was thrown into an orphanage, which smells like shit because this was early 1800s, late 1800s. I could have just said the 1800s in England. So one of the opening scenes is him laying on the ground in a prairie type deal, and he's next to a lake, and it's like zooms out on him and he goes, grass. And then it like goes out a little bit and he goes, rocks, wind. And then it goes into a pond and sees tadpole eggs, frog eggs. And he goes, wet rocks. And then it just like keeps going. And it's such a fucking stupid movie. And I'm very open to all of these movies. It's something that Mystery Science Theater should, like, it's one of those levels of movie. However, I'm just basing this off the first 12 minutes. But he went to a perfume shop and saw a lady who smelled so good, and he followed her. And when he followed her, he startled her because he looks like covered in dirt. He was working for, I forgot what he worked for, but maybe his sense of smell helped him in the line of field for practically an indentured servant type deal. And she starts screaming and he like holds her face and in a Of Mice and Men Lenny type deal pretty much suffocates her, but it's very uncomfortable. And then he starts like smelling her chest and then works his way down to her nipples. And then Nicole said, yeah, let's shut this off, James. And I said, thank God, because I could not, because the synopsis seems good.
It does. And I have not watched this movie because like reading the synopsis, I'm like, ooh. And then I'm like, ooh, this, I get a bad feeling from this. It's one of the few Ben Whishaw movies that I haven't seen. I love the actor.
I didn't know he was a big hot shot.
I mean, he's in a lot of stuff, and it's really funny that you've seen that movie or seen parts of that movie, and you didn't. You were like, who is that? It's him. It's Ben Whishaw.
Yeah, that's crazy how that it's happenstance, guys. This dude loves smell. Does James Bond smell a lot of stuff?
I don't know, but I mean, Ben Whishaw wasn't the one doing that. This movie, Richard was smelling.
But
stuff.
But I'm saying maybe James Bond does.
It's not a theme throughout his movies.
Okay. In GoldenEye, you can walk up to someone in that game and start smelling them. Remember? Oh, this is in the Wii reissue and remaster. Yeah, you can go up to someone in GoldenEye and just go.
That's weird.
No, I'm lying.
I know.
But back to this movie.
Caleb, what are your other notes? We are really good about getting back from a tangent.
It's weird popping because like all of my notes are like storyline issues or like cinematography stuff, and it's just like LOL smelling people, and then just back to story. I'm just like, okay.
I mean, talk about it. You said cinematography issues. I actually really enjoy the cinematography in this.
I said story issues, not cinematography issues.
You did say cinematography issues.
I said cinematography issues. I said cinematography and story issues.
Okay.
He said story issues, comma, and I got what you were saying, baby.
Well, I love the cinematography in this movie.
Same.
It's the best one we've seen so far, I think, cinematography wise.
We did say Vampire Boys looks like a film.
Vampire Boys does look good, but this one is better.
It's gorgeous. This one is gorgeous.
Can we also say a quick little thing?
Yes.
One of the producers and actors from Vampire Boys reached out to us.
Yeah.
I feel like now, much like my rap career, where the only people who were enjoying it were the people who worked at the venues or the bar at whatever club I was performing at, I feel like the only people listening to our podcast are people who worked on these movies. But hey, we need to do bigger budget movies then. Because there are hundreds of people on set for those. These indie movies, though, it's like a team of 50 people. But then again, hey, we're not getting 50 listens per episode.
It's okay. We're still growing. We're very new.
We're a tiny little baby podcast. We're not even in the double digits yet, Caleb.
Baby podcast.
Wah, wah.
And this is
Gotta
why
love
we're
me.
Jesus.
Wait, hold on. Keep vamping.
My notes. I don't have very many because oh my god.
Gotta love me.
James.
I have a mask of baby Sinclair from Dinosaurs.
And he put it against his face.
Yeah.
And it's creepy because baby Sinclair does kind of look creepy. Oh, my notes. I don't have very many, but I do have one. I love that Richard cooks well, and that was one of the things that Kai was like, I won't have you cook for my mom. I'll have her cook because she won't like your cooking. And she won't like it just because she'll like it, but she will never admit that she likes it. But then when Richard actually cooks for her and cooks for her and Alan to have their dinner, she compliments the cooking. She's like, this is fantastic. I don't think she says fantastic. The translator says fantastic. I think she says it's really good. Anyway, I love that little moment, that little thing where you see her like kind of growing because before she couldn't stand to be in the same room with Richard, but then she's like eating his food and complimenting it. And that's a really big thing for her apparently because, you know, she's cooks and all of that. And then there was another moment where towards the end, Richard's making bacon and he uses chopsticks with it. And I do that and I love it. Like I love that. Cooking tips, use chopsticks for your bacon. It makes it very easy.
That is actually something that I was going to bring up is there's a lot of play between, specifically with June, with the mom, where she is kind of continuously comparing like England where she lives with China where she's from. And just there's always like kind of a struggle. That's why Kai didn't come out to her, because he thought she would be just really disappointed. She'd be too traditional to accept him. But there's this kind of movement where she begins to realize that she is really uncomfortable with England. She is very uncomfortable with the place that her husband brought her. There's a conversation about her husband being like, no, this is going to be great. We're going to be able to provide for our family, everything like that. And she's just kind of like, it's not that great. It's not what we hoped it to be. And I think that one of the movements, one of the reasons why she gets a lot closer with Richard is because he can cook Chinese food and because he uses chopsticks. And he is a British person, but he's mutable. He can move between like cultures and societies comfortably, as opposed to Alan, who's very, very, very British.
Well, also opposed to her, because she doesn't, which Richard was getting kind of racist at the end of saying,
oh yeah,
please assimilate. I demand you assimilate. Your son was racked up with guilt because you didn't do that. Why are you doing that, dude? Also, why was he defending Alan? It was towards the end, Richard, no thank you. But in the end, he was okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was his response to grief. It's definitely not defensible, but it's still like, I think he's just kind of lost and he feels guilt.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he knows that if he wasn't around, that Kai would have been living with June and that he was part of that. So I think that's part of the grief that he like struggles with. But I mean, he also, in that assimilate thing, he does say like, she can learn English or I can learn Mandarin. He just kind of trails off with it, so you don't really notice it. But he does say that.
Okay.
And I do like that he takes steps in getting someone to translate for him to sort of bridge that gap. And I think that she saw that effort that he did in getting his friend to, paying his friend to come and translate so that they can actually like speak and talk about their grief together.
Which at first I thought she was going to be upset with him for doing that, of saying, I don't want this. Get out of my life, dude.
Yeah, she does very much seem like that, but the way that she accepts things is great, and it shows like her growth throughout the movie and her growth with her grief, because at the end, whenever Richard does come out to her and then also tell her about Kai being gay as well, she accepts it. She accepts it, and that's part that leads into her, you know, talking about how, you know, she was jealous and that she was like, it's silly for a mother to compete for her son's affection. She's like, it's silly for me to have done this.
She actually said pathetic.
Yeah, she did. She did say pathetic.
She was going hard into herself.
Yeah. I overall, I really like this movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, you made a point with watching it with someone that is a native speaker, so that we can hear sort of more of the culture behind that and more of the language that's used and how it's used, because we lose a lot of that through translation and through just reading subtitles.
I would also, this is a very serious movie, loved it. I don't have a lot of notes because of that. We got to have some goof stuff, guys. But for a very serious movie, there was one line that, because it's so serious, did not fit. And this is a movie about a gay couple. And Kai says, "My mom thinks you're a dick." And then Richard says, but you love this dick.
That's funny. Because Richard, the other word for Richard is also dick.
Yes, it's a triple entendre.
Nickname. Yeah. So I laughed during that, and I think that was a good moment to break up the sort of, because the movie does have some very heavy moments, and then it does bring in people like Alan, as awful as he is, to sort of break up that heaviness. And same with the translator.
Yes.
And their relationship.
I would say it's just the translator, because when Alan is all, why do I feel like I'm saying that name weird? Alan is always just a dick and sleazy.
Yes.
But the translator is what makes this funny.
Yeah.
Humorous, not. It's, guys, this movie isn't like Bridesmaids.
And I'm saying Alan, he is a dick and he is awful, but him entering the scene breaks up the heaviness, because they're not able to experience that grief with him present, because he's so self-centered and so and
he's so horny just all of the time.
He's just horny, and he's just so just lost as to what's going on. And oh my God, we didn't even talk about the moment where the translators dismissed to the kitchen, and they were Richard and the translator, which I don't did they give her a name?
I don't know.
Yes.
We keep calling her the translator,
I feel real bad about it.
It's like Van.
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
It's Van.
I'm gonna look it up just so that.
But what about her?
I love that they go into the
kitchen.
The kitchen. It is Van. They go into the kitchen together, and they sort of start making fun of Alan and June, what they would say, what they're saying. And Richard just "Oh yeah, I'm so horny, blah 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 blah," and then they go out. And that's exactly what Alan is fucking saying. And June is saying, "You're very handsome. Thank you so much for doing this." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I wanna."
If I were younger, I'd rip off your clothes
and bench over the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was immediately after we heard Richard saying basically the same thing as making fun of Alan, and that's what happened.
The made up dialogue was something like, "Oh, I have a thick hog right now," and then she goes, "Oh, can I see it?" And then Alan's fake dialogue was, "Oh, not now, because you'll be getting this for dessert."
Gross.
I feel like because this wasn't
it wasn't a goofy movie, and there weren't a lot of moments there were moments that we talked about that we liked. And we liked the cinematography and stuff, but there wasn't a lot for us to just vamp and goof on. So we ended up vamping and goofing about different things.
I think I had maybe one. Okay, I do want to say two things. Living with each other is a terrible idea. Do not do that. Richard, that's a dumb idea. Also, he should have immediately given her the ashes.
So Richard, in part of his guilt, he wanted to, because he knows June hates the home, he wanted to actually take her out of the home and have her live with him. which it makes sense. And I feel like if their relationship grows and they overcome the language barrier, that it wouldn't be a bad idea, especially if like it just depends on like what Richard is doing with his life and where he's going. If he's like, no, Kai was that's the end of my romantic life, then yeah, I wouldn't see it being a bad idea, because they can,
They can
share
cook
in the
together.
memory.
It would be adorable.
Yeah, I feel like it wouldn't be a bad idea. And it was not great in that moment, which, Richard didn't even bring it up in that moment. The Van did, because they still hadn't accepted each other as far as like their grief goes and the guilt that they're putting on each other, or the guilt that they're both experiencing separately because of the other person. So like once they pass that barrier, which they did at the end of the movie, then I don't think it's such a bad idea for them to, live together.
I still think it's kind of a bad idea, but I guess they were together for 4 years. I don't know. It's weird. It would make more sense if they had a full relationship and they were familiar and, hey, we are family, but they're two strangers pretty much.
I think the point of it is that Richard is alone. Richard, he has no family to speak of. He doesn't talk about having any family or anything like that. He says that Kai was his life. And the only family that the mom has anymore, June has anymore, was Kai.
Also,
so they're both alone.
She did mention that she could move back to where she was raised, but she was scared to do that because it would have changed so much.
Yeah, she seems like she doesn't do very well with change in some cases.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually like that thought of them, coming together, because, June's a lot older, so like she does need taken care of and stuff like that, and Richard is alone because, he said Kai was his life and Kai died. So like where does he
What?
go from there?
I thought Kai was just out for a lark.
He was out walking around the block.
Yeah.
Out walking around the block.
Okay, I got two. I forgot these two goofy ones. When Richard pulls that nipple hair off, does he put it in his mouth?
I don't know. It looked like it. I would like to think he didn't.
Okay, and then also feel my heart beat with your foot. That was weird.
He said I'm like shaking.
But it felt like, hey, feel my heart a flutter, but let's do it with your foot.
But also that was just like Richard daydreaming. That wasn't.
Oh, that never. Okay.
Yeah. That was the moment that, like, he's got his foot on his chest and all that stuff, and then he hears a knock at the door, and then it like pans around and he goes out of the room and throws on his shirt and pants and opens the door, and
I thought that was just something that it was a flashback.
No, I think it was him experiencing. I think it was him like imagining Kai and his grief, because that's also when the wish you'd sniff my armpit thing
Dude likes
happened as well.
When he imagines, he loves to think about eating nipple hair. That's I think all I have.
Did you have anything else, Caleb? I saw you reading over your notes.
No, I got nothing else.
Are you sure?
I am very sure.
Are you sure?
I am so sure. Oh my god.
Are you sure?
I'm so fucking sure.
Okay. Now that that's over, I am through with my notes as well. Overall, I think this movie was very beautiful. It was beautifully done. And yeah, I would highly recommend watching it. Don't watch it with friends if they're going to not let you cry.
I mean, we would have let you cry. That was a bit we were doing earlier. I was not calling you a senzi.
I mean, I just don't cry in general. So like,
You have told me so many times, oh man, I totally cried while watching this movie.
that is a special exception, is when watching a movie alone.
Corwyn,
Except in the theaters with Love, Simon. Love, Simon was definitely a tearjerker.
That's about that cat, that comic, right? That's Simon's cat.
We'll watch that eventually.
What? Simon's cat?
No, Love, Simon.
Oh, yeah, we got to check those clips on YouTube of Simon's cat.
Oh my god.
He's a cat owner. He's gay.
Anyway, yes, that's all. Any final thoughts, Caleb? No, like not just like a random like any final thoughts. Like what did you think of the movie? Like final thoughts.
It was amazing. Like I loved it.
Great. Any recommendations?
Watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were asking for recommendations for our next movie.
I mean, I'll ask him that off of the mic. Yeah. And then we'll make him come and be our guest again and watch whatever movie he wants us to watch.
And walk up 3 fucking flights of stairs.
Yes, you're welcome. Get your daily cardio in, y'all.
Caleb, you got anything to plug?
I do not.
What about your writing? Do you have a writing agent?
I am
It's
self-represented. Thank
All
you.
right.
What were your final thoughts about the movie, James?
I enjoyed it. I didn't have a lot of notes. Usually I have more than a page of notes because I need things to goof on. And no, there wasn't anything to goof on. It was just a well-shot, well-written, well-acted movie.
Well done.
A well-done movie. Just like my steak.
That's not good.
I like a well-done steak with ketchup, just like our wonderful president, Trump. Guys, I'm joking. You guys are icing me right now.
We both just like look at him and we're like,
Instant gay judgment.
and I'm very good at that kind of judgment. Anyone that knows me, I project an aura of judgment in most situations.
I've never experienced that until now, except I knew you were joking. Wasn't sure about Caleb. Caleb doesn't know me. We've never met. I'm kidding. I used to be a supervisor of him. I supervised him all the time. I'd say, hey, you better get back to them fucking chats, dude. I'm kidding. I think I was a nice supervisor.
You're okay.
Whoa.
Harsh. Any plugs? Let's plug away.
Check out Mostly Speakin' Sentai, podcast I do with my betrothed Nicole. It's about the source material for Power Rangers. We're non-pretentious. We are trying to get our friends who are the guests into the Super Sentai series. Check out What the Hellmouth. It's TC and Anissa. Those are my friends. Also Corwyn's friends. Maybe Caleb's friends. I don't know. He's going, so I am aware of them. We're watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. TC loves it. Anissa hates it. I've never seen it. That's the dynamic, and there's mainly banter. Also, check out I'll Get There with Courtney and Monse. It's a podcast where we're bullshitting a half an hour away. An hour and a half away, I mean. Whoa. Spoget. Also, check out my raps, Marshland Monster. You can download all the CDs for free. Links in the descriptions for all of this. What about Saltbox Theatre, Corwyn?
Saltbox Theatre, that's my one plug. It is the theater company I'm in. It's amazing. Go to saltboxtheater.org. That is where you will find all of the information about us. Also, James will include a link, like always. Please check us out. We have a show going on.
Through when?
Through the end of January.
All right.
I think January 27th is our last performance. So please check it out. If you miss it this time, we are, we're still in our season, so we'll still have more shows coming up. And I will talk about them extensively on our future episodes.
And
or just go to saltboxtheater.org.
Where's this taking place at?
The current show is Boy Gets Girl by Rebecca Gilman, and it is at the Edge Theater. It's on Broadway. It's in it's Ravens? No.
We're in that location.
It's like north. It's north. It's
maybe a Lakeview.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's north of Uptown, I think.
North of Uptown.
Yeah,
Then
I'm trying to remember.
You're in Edgewater.
I think it's in Edgewater.
Wait, what's the name of the theater?
The Edge Theater. Let me look it up. I
thought you were gonna say it's the Edgewater Theater. No, we don't. Hey, it's in
Edge.
It's in northern
Theater.
Chicago, guys.
Yeah.
All I needed to know is the name of the theater, and then you went into a long.
I went into a
thing.
long thing. Yeah, it's the Edge Theater. It's on Broadway. So
My
check
posse's
it out.
on Broadway. That's a song that Corwyn doesn't know.
Don't know music, y'all.
All right. I think that's it. My name has been James.
My name's Corwyn.
My name's Caleb.
And thank you for listening to This Movie's Gay. We were waiting for Caleb to come on in.
He just shook his head no.
See you guys later. Tell
Bye.
a fucking friend about this damn podcast. We need more listeners. Rate, review,
listen.
subscribe on all of this stuff.
Yes, please.
Bye.
Bye. I'm not doing it again.